Good morning and welcome back to My Dad's a Lawyer, podcast about life, law, and other stuff. I'm Noah, son and a lawyer.
And I'm Brian, a dad and an attorney or lawyer. I don't know. We'll have to do an episode on what the difference between lawyer, attorney, esquire is. So,
I know
write that one down for the future.
It's funny you say that because I forget who I was talking to, but they were like, "Are you a lawyer or are you an attorney?" I was like, "Well, I'm both. I'm a lawyer and an attorney." But then we looked a little bit deeper into it, and there is a slight difference between the two. I think an
And a
attorney,
counselor at law.
right,
And if you're in England, you could be a solicitor or a
right,
barrister. So,
right. We'll do an
for another
episode
day.
about that.
Yeah, definitely. So, well, first off, happy Columbus Day, or if you prefer Indigenous People Day, or if you
Yes.
prefer just a day off or a quiet day at the office day.
Yes, very quiet day at the office today, especially because it's also a nor'easter out, so we're all
Well,
hiding inside.
it is like it's like that weird brutal because I took the dogs out when I got up. Mom had already walked the dogs, and then I took them out back because like around 7 o'clock. Stella always tells me she has to go number 2,
Okay.
so I put their raincoats on. I opened the door to let them out back, and it was like kind of warm.
I know
Like,
it wasn't like pouring nonstop like I thought it would be, but it is a little windy out there.
yeah. So after this episode, I'm gonna get myself ready. I'm gonna head into the office, but yeah, a little bit of a nor'easter hitting us today.
Yes.
Um, And it's also kind of like, I'm glad you're here today. It's like wedding fever is always weddings in 2 weeks.
I know.
You just came back from a wedding from over the weekend, or somebody else has some weddings. My head is spinning right now.
A lot of weddings, but luckily after October, I'm done with weddings for the year.
I am looking forward to the day. It's going to be amazing, but I'm also looking forward to a little quiet afterwards.
Yes, and you have
Yeah,
everyone coming home for it.
yeah, and speaking of like, everything, it's like all these little things are happening last minute. I mean, your mom did an amazing job getting everything together, but now it's all the, little things. And as you know, you guys ordered tuxes from whatever, Black Tux or something like that. So I
I
came home
need
the other day while you were away, and there were 3 boxes.
for
Okay.
two
I
people.
looked, it's like 1 box for you and 2 boxes for your brother. I was like, okay, I knew we had some issues like ordering it. I opened it up and he literally got sent 1.5 tuxedos.
Are they all
Just
different sizes or are they the same size?
So the one tuxedo that he went to the store and did all that, that's all correct. It was actually the missing the
Lapel.
no, not the lapel. It was missing the suspenders. I was like, okay. I opened up the second box and it's a pair of pants, a shirt, shoes, and suspenders. What? And then I remembered when we were like doing something, the woman on the phone, after waiting an hour to get a live person, told us, "Oh, the groom changed it from notched lapel to peak lapel, and therefore we canceled the jacket for all the orders." I was like, "But you didn't tell anybody."
I know.
It was bizarre. So they must have like kept both in the system. So I'm gonna have to figure out what that's all about and fight to get some money back.
All right. Well, at least he got it. That's the
Yes,
important
and now
part.
hopefully it fits.
And I have to, now that I think about it, I should probably, I have a half day today. I should probably come home and get mine so I can
Okay,
try it on.
so it's hanging in the front closet,
Okay.
and then there's a box.
All right.
So you're on the right side. I didn't kind of label it, but you'll have to look at everything just to
All
make
right.
sure you got
I'll look at my
pick up the right
sizes.
one. Yeah,
All right.
you're a little bit bigger than your brother, so
Okay. All right.
in a good way. He's
Okay.
like super skinny, and you're like buff. You're not
I
fat.
know.
I
I
just
know.
I
In a
didn't
good
say that.
way. In a good way.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's move on to the old guy question. Let's get this going. So,
Okay.
a lot's been in the news recently, obviously, as I feel like there always is. So I want to know, how did you find out what's happening in the world before the internet? Because right now, you could just go on your phone and instantly get the news from any corner of the globe. So what did you do
Okay.
in the past?
So with the advent of the radio,
Mm-hmm.
it was basically printed news and the radio, and then TV were your main sources of news, but it wasn't 24-hour cable news like that. That started in the 80s. Really, how you got your news was you got the newspaper every day or different newspapers. There was kind of recent stuff that happened, and then there were usually longer pieces about an interesting story about what's going on in this place or whatever. if you wanted that instantaneous news, you would listen to the radio. Like here in New York was 10-10 wins. We give you
Right.
22 minutes. We'll give you the world. That
Right.
was their logo. And you literally would listen for, you could listen for 22 minutes and hear like everything from sports. In fact, if you want just that, you can still listen to 10-10 wins. And even on satellite radio, like Fox News has a Fox, like not their news, like not the, you know, again, I won't get into politics, not the, yeah, not that slant, but they
Right,
have
but
a
it's like a
station.
news now type of thing where it's
Right.
like
Well, all it
24-hour
does is
news.
it literally recycles for, you know, for 10, 12 minutes. Like they give you entertainment, they give you sports, they give you politics, they give you things going on in the world. And it's just like a news reader's reading, hey, you know, there's an accident on the cross county, blah, 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 blah.
There's been
There's
a
this
lot
going
of
on.
accidents on the cross
Yeah.
county recently.
So, yeah, lately. Oh my God. So that was a big thing. And there was a, you know, you would want news, but there was also a bit of a slower pace to it. So it didn't feel as like it didn't get the,
Right.
you know, you didn't get the cortisol and all the other, you know, um, uh, stuff going on that really like amp you up and be like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, what's going on? Like now,
Right.
like you take your phone and you read a story, then like you're constantly checking it.
Right. And but at the same time, I feel like the news cycles are faster because there's so much new news and news stories that are coming out. Like I feel like people forget about, like you read something one day and then the next week there could be five different other stories, and you forget about what you read about the week before.
Right.
Whereas if you're getting these newspapers or slower news pace, you hear more and more about the
And
stories
and
weekly.
and you also have this issue of the accuracy,
Right.
right? You know, we hear something like this moment, and then if you see the follow up to it later on, you find out that that's not really what was going on or what happened. It
Right.
was
It
more
changed.
rumor than news,
Right.
right? So, you know, like you hear, like it was just the other day, right? There was that NYCHA building collapse in the
Mhm.
Bronx. So a corner of a building collapsed. It was where the exhaust like chimney was
Right.
for the boiler. And that actually, there was some type of explosion, and the entire chimney basically fell down.
Right.
Now, nobody was hurt, thank God. No apartments were really damaged. It was
No.
just like this, like. But if you heard the news at first, like building collapse in the
Bronx.
Bronx, like oh my God, and then you
I
like
know
go
that's what
here,
I saw at first.
and you're like, okay, you know, we just had the 24th anniversary of 9/11, and I had always thought about this because I was down there during 9/11, and you know, my initial instincts were tens of thousands of people had died.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, if you were there, there's no way tens of thousands of people didn't die. But I was watching a special, and they were playing the news from the time, and they were talking about that.
Wow.
You know, oh, there are probably tens of thousands, and now over 3,000 people died, which is horrific.
Right.
But you know, this like instantaneous news versus so the news sources were a bit slower. Sometimes it was frustrating,
Right.
right? Because you needed to know what's going on. But there's a lot of stories that you hear that would be more interested to like, you know, listen, I think that's why podcasts, right? Like Serial and these other podcasts that are telling these stories are so captivating because these are long form news items in a
Right.
way, right? Magazines used to have 15, 20,000 page, like they were like mini books with a story that somebody had worked on for months to tell you
Right.
about something.
Yeah.
Yeah, our news cycle now is, you know, you blink and it's different.
It's all headlines now, I feel like.
Yeah,
You
so
see the headline and you move on.
that's how we got our news.
All right.
Now it's
Well,
TikTok.
yeah, now it's TikTok. We also have some weird, wacky laws to discuss today.
Yeah, I thought that was a great idea to talk about just
It's a
some
good transition from that to
yeah.
weird, wacky laws.
And just as the fancy legal term is a caveat, a warning, right? Just
Mhm.
as a caveat is that, you know, are these laws or are these myths? So we're going to try to figure out a couple
Right.
of these, and I'm gonna let you. I'll be the
Okay.
old sage, and you can.
Okay. All right, let's start out with Alabama. This one
Okay.
might seem basic and common sense, but there's a law that states it is illegal to drive blindfolded. So it's prohibits operating a vehicle when something obstructs the driver's view or control, but it doesn't explicitly mention a blindfold. But people have interpreted it that way.
Yeah, so correct. You know, a lot of times the weird laws have a kernel of truth,
Right.
right? So it does say, yes, it is illegal to drive blindfolded in Alabama, though the restrictions are a result of a general reckless driving law rather than a specific statute, right?
Right. How
So
it's
Alabama
interpreted.
law, it prohibits you from drivers from doing activities that obstruct a driver's view or control of the vehicle, which naturally includes wearing a blindfold. Hell, it could be virtual VR glasses, right?
Right.
Um, so it's more about like that general one is like, hey, look, you can't do things that are going to obstruct your view. Duh. Now, interestingly enough, can't wear a blindfold, but what if the only pair, let's say you have to wear glasses to drive,
Right.
and the only pair of glasses you happen to have at night are sunglasses?
Mm.
That could obstruct your view. But
That,
anyway, that's where that one comes from.
all right. Yeah, and I guess just news articles have called it the, what did they call it? The blindfold
Right.
driving law. So
So this is a
that's how
right.
the
This
news
is about
goes.
what is that headline that captures
Right.
that captures you?
Right. Exactly. Well, this one is not necessarily a statute or law in Arizona, but there is a folk story about donkeys sleeping in bathtubs. And basically, that comes from, I think there was some flood in Arizona, and I guess a donkey floated away, and they want them to sleep in bathtubs so they don't float away during flooding. But I don't think that is necessarily a law in Arizona.
Yeah, no, that one has been debunked, as they say. The Arizona
Yes.
law of donkey in a bathtub, it's not a real statute. It originally likely originates from a fictional weird law list. I mean, this is more probably of just some BS on the internet at
Yes.
some point.
Yep.
Um,
I'd say so.
right. The story of the donkey being washed away in a flood while sleeping in a bathtub likely is the origin of the myth, but it's not codified in law. So there's probably some story somewhere
Right.
where, like, some guy decided to put his donkey in a bathtub during a flood.
And it flooded away.
Okay, can't
Well,
make, you literally can't make that shit up.
no, the next one isn't an actual statute or ordinance, but has some historical background to it, and that's Connecticut, where pickles must bounce. It's a well-known legal oddity cited in many historic articles, but I don't believe it's a specific statute
Specific.
or specific statute or code. It's early in the morning for me. I haven't
You're,
had my
you're you're
coffee.
finding yourself in a bit of a pickle.
Yes, I
Oh,
am.
got the dad joke in. All right.
I am. So, all right. Pickles
Okay.
must bounce. So there is some historical background to this, but not necessarily a law.
All right. So this is how crazy some of these stories get. Let's end with there was briefly a Hartford, Connecticut baseball team called the Bouncing Pickles.
Uh,
So anyway, um, this is from a true event in 1948. The commissioner, a Connecticut Food and Drug Commissioner, suggested the bouncing pickle test, stating that good pickles would bounce when dropped from a 1 foot height. The reason is there were two guys arrested for selling putrid, maggot infested pickles. And basically, the commissioner basically said, look, obviously a good pickle is going to bounce when you drop it. And that has morphed into there's a law on the books that your pickles have to bounce. So again, this is based on truth, but it was either a headline or a misinterpretation of advice now saying that, oh, this is a law, right? Now, it's probably more of a physics law that, like,
right,
a pickle should bounce if it's not maggot infested.
right. That is true. I guess I'll go test my pickles before I eat them
Yeah,
from
just
now on.
ew.
But
Just make
making me
sure they're like firm because soft pickles. That
right.
is gross.
Okay, let's move on to Chicago, Illinois. So this one is another interpretation news article one where the probably a news article has quoted it as no fancy bike riding or hands off handlebars law. So there is an actual statute that requires at least one hand to be on the handlebars and 1 foot on the pedals when riding a bike. But I'm sure somewhere along the line, some news article called it the fancy bike riding law, and that is how it got its name.
Yep, that's again spot on. There's no specific, no fancy bike riding law, but the city has, and traffic laws have, ordinances that prohibit unsafe riding, such as riding with both hands off the handlebars, carrying a package that prevents hand control, or performing acrobatic maneuvers. Um, and that's like general traffic law. Like, it's fine to go do if you're in a bike park, to do a flip or whatever it is, but they don't want people riding down the street doing wheelies or not having their hands, because it's a danger to the bike riders as well as pedestrians and
Right.
everybody else. So
Makes sense.
kind of a fancy name for a run-of-the-mill boring ordinance.
Yes. All right, let's do one more here. So this one is, I don't want to keep giving everyone folk
Well, why don't we do the
tales.
New York slipper law?
The New York one? All right, let's do the New York one. That I have that in here as half true.
It's actually fully true, but go ahead.
All right. So in New York, it is illegal to wear slippers after 10 p.m. Is that true or false?
In New York, it is still technically illegal to wear slippers in a public establishment after 10 p.m.
Okay.
It's an old and rarely enforced law, but it's a real rule on the books. So you can't go into a bar after 10 o'clock wearing a pair of UGG slippers, technically. And it's in New York City and New York State. And, you know, they say there's like a lore, the myth behind it is that was created to prevent slippers from attracting rats during late hours, as soft soles were thought to be too quiet enough to go unnoticed or something like that. It's a strange, weird law. It's probably more about dress code and what people wearing slippers in
Right.
public places might be
Especially when it was
doing
written
after
on the door.
10. Yeah. Naughty, naughty.
Right.
So next time you're running out the door and it's after 10 o'clock, put on your slides or put on some sneakers. Don't put on your slippers.
Exactly.
A real law. Good one.
All right. Let's
And,
see.
let's do and one more. Let's do the Georgia ice cream law, because that's
Okay.
an
All right.
interesting
Let me go to the
one.
Georgia one. Let's see here.
You see what a
Okay.
little research can do for you?
I know. Georgia. Illegal to carry ice cream in back pocket on Sunday.
Okay.
That's
It's
a weird
illegal to
one.
carry a sundae on a Sunday in your back pocket. Uh, so this is maybe partly true.
Right. Based
Okay.
on some historical truth.
Right. So there's no law, again, making it illegal to carry an ice cream cone in your back pocket. However, they believe that there was some type of law in the past where horse thieves, right? We didn't have cars, everyone had horses, would put a ice cream cone, like the cone, I guess not the ice cream, maybe the ice cream too, in their back pocket, and a horse would follow them. And then they'd say, "Oh, I'm keeping the horse. Whose horse is this? It's my horse now." Finders keepers. And the idea was, hey, the horse just followed me home. I don't
Right.
know how. Oh,
Right.
geez, son, do you have an ice cream cone in your back pocket? What are you talking about? So,
Uh,
weird,
yes.
weird, weird, weird.
Yes. All
But
right.
listen, Georgia also has some other strange laws, according to our friend ChatGPT here. It
Yes.
says that it has unusual laws such as banning the use of profanity in the presence of a corpse. Naughty, naughty. And somewhere in Jonesboro, I guess, Georgia, we've got to check out this. It's supposedly illegal to say, "Oh boy."
Oh boy. Wonder what the penalty is for that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
Being cursed out while you're a corpse.
right. All right. Well,
All
I
right,
hope
so
that was entertaining for everybody.
it's definitely different.
There's
And,
just so many of these. I don't even know which ones are true or not.
yeah, yeah, and the other part of it is there are a lot of really, really weird and strange laws on the books,
Right.
and I would say, like, out of date laws. Like we're seeing it now. The current administration is using laws that are 200 years old to justify things. And the strange part is not that those laws aren't on the books and legal.
Right.
The strange part of that is, when a law is written, you also have to know the time
Hmm.
and the place,
Right.
right? Um, okay, it might be illegal to have an ice cream cone in your back pocket, but the whole purpose of it was actually something reasonable,
Right.
supposedly,
Right.
right? So laws and I'm not going to get into the Second Amendment debate about the right to bear arms,
But back in the
but
day, it was a lot different.
one side says you have a right to bear arms, period. The other side says no, you have a right to bear arms, but it's in conjunction with being in the militia to defend the state. When they wrote the law, that's just the way things were. Let's assume the second part is the actual interpretation, right? You and I could be called up to the militia to defend our state. That doesn't happen anymore.
No.
That is not how we do things. The National Guard is, state militia basically, but you have to be enrolled and all that stuff.
Right.
So it'd be very curious to see, what does the right to bear arms mean? And that's the root of so many issues, especially when laws aren't changed or modified, or the understanding of why they were
Right.
in the first place.
Right.
So
And that happens a lot in New York. It's a very historical state, been around since the start of the Union. And there's laws that, let's say, for example, the wrongful death statute that I deal with in my personal injury, experience. New York's law is like 100 plus years old, and it only compensates you really for your strict economical loss, how much you were earning, and how much of an economical loss you have to the family. But all these other states now have laws similar to the New York wrongful death statute, but it includes like emotional distress and emotional damage for the loss of a parent and who's able to gain that support and stuff like that. So there's been this huge fight for New York to amend the wrongful death statute. And, it's such an old law. And at the time may have been, the norm
hey,
amongst the states. But now all these other states, most of them have all these amended and new updated laws, but New York refuses to amend it.
yeah, well, let's take another example that impacts even more people. Thankfully compared to death, wrongful death.
Yes.
Divorce law in New York. For
Right.
one of the most liberal states in the union, we had one of the most illiberal divorce laws up until recently.
Right.
There were only 6 reasons why you could get a divorce when I was in law school. And basically, the workaround was if you didn't have one, and it was real, adultery, abandonment, some other stuff. So they created a law that basically said you could enter into a separation agreement for a year. And at the end of the separation agreement, you could then get divorced officially. So if
Mhm.
you guys just didn't get along, no fault, right?
Right.
You'd have to go into a separation agreement in order to actually get a
Mhm.
divorce, or you would have to raise one of these issues like adultery,
Right.
even if it didn't happen. And that was a whole big kind of cottage industry there. Then in 2010,
Wow.
they finally entered into no fault divorce in New York. Adultery, one of the official reasons for allowing for a divorce in New York, was not decriminalized until 2024.
Wow.
Meaning, technically, adultery was a crime in New York all the way till then. And a big reason behind all this was that marriage is considered by the state such a important
Right.
important thing that it was really hard to try to get a divorce. Yet you had all these conniptions around bending and trying to figure out how
Right.
to you know get a divorce. Now that has nothing to do with whether you believe in it, you don't believe in it, should be easy, shouldn't be easy. But here, as you said, 200 some year old state with
Right.
laws
That or that
that
old.
take 200 years to change.
Right. Wow.
The slow hand of justice.
Right. All right. Well, I guess that does it for today.
Yes,
So
sir.
everyone stay safe with this nor'easter that doesn't look too horrible right now.
Yeah, I think it's just really the wind and the stuff
Yeah.
like that. So,
All right.
yeah, we 4-wheel drive, use it,
Right.
and we will catch up soon. We're going to try to record another episode next week, and then we have a wedding weekend,
Yes.
and then we'll go from there.
All right. Sounds good, everyone. Have a good day. Once again, I'm Noah. You can catch me on all social media platforms at You Know a Lawyer.
And I'm Brian, the dad, and you can catch me at the Disability Guys.